Hello, everyone out there. This is William coming to you live from Allegory Gallery, and it's social media bootcamp time. I'm gonna just, sit here and chat a little bit with you all until we get going a little bit and get some people filtering in. I know this may be an odd hour for a lot of people hitting their dinner times across the country. But we hope that this would start a little bit late enough that that people on both coasts could have time to catch it, whether you were just getting out of work or just getting ready to kind of shut down for the night, maybe and get ready to come in from yard work or whatever. So yeah, this is hopefully going to be interesting for all of you out there. I've been running through my notes here throughout the day, and hopefully I've caught a lot of things. At Allegory Gallery, we are quite a small business. I mean, really, in the grand scope of things, we are a bead store that is in a town, like our downtown, our borough has about 1,500 residents. So I think we talked about a little bit with Jamie that whenever we went to get a loan to start our business, the banks kind of laughed at us. I mean, not kind of, did, and figured that they weren't going to lend to us because we'd be closed in 6 months. And looking at a brick and mortar bead store in a town of our size, they might have been right, but we were able to take advantage of social media and online communities and really make a go of it. And here we are 10 years later. We'll be celebrating 10 years in September. And I think we're doing really well. And I think if you look across the country at bead stores that they're closing, unfortunately, a lot of them have, and it's really a sad thing. And I think making that jump to social media, I think, has been a really positive thing for us. And even during the pandemic here, we went full force into social media, and it has really kept us afloat. And we're proud to say we're doing well through this. We hope that all of you out there are as well. But what the pandemic has brought, for all the bad things, some of the good things are that people are really starting to realize that maybe they can start their own business. Working from home has given people sometimes an advantage, and this is kind of what this talk will be tailored more around. Somebody who, may be on Facebook for themselves or Instagram for themselves, but they're looking to develop that social media, turning it into a business. And we have helped a number of individuals and groups start their own small businesses. We do consulting here in town and virtually. So these are kind of some of the tips that, not all of them, but these are some of the goodies that we recommend to people as we talk with them and consult with them in starting their own businesses. So if that's something that you think you may be interested in doing, maybe over the pandemic, like I said, a lot of people have really, got into their hobbies and really decided that maybe they want to turn some of their hobbies into a business. We know a lot of you out there, of course, this is the Great Bead Extravaganza, so a lot of you are beaders and stringers and weavers, and you may have thought, maybe I'll turn this into a business, even if it's a side business, even if it's a small thing to start with. I had another job while we started our business. That was just something we had to do, and that's okay too. But I think it's worth, if it's a passion of yours and and you're ready to turn it into a business, because not everything needs to be a business, right? Some things can just stay passions. So but if you are looking to do that, these are some of the things that I wanted to talk with you about, that we talk with a lot of people about, that we've gotten feedback that it's really helped them, things they may not have thought about or knew about. And we do hope that this is something that interests you. So back to just talking about who we are. We are Allegory Gallery. We are located in southwestern Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. We're about an hour to the east of Pittsburgh, in a small town called Ligonier, Pennsylvania. It is a fort town from the French and Indian War, so we are Fort Ligonier. And it's a great, it's a town where people come to do vacations. We have a lot of hiking around the area a lot of natural parks and forests so for hiking, waterfalls. We have wonderful things like Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, just about 40 minutes or so from us. So there's a lot to go on around here, and but that also means that as a business in town, you are often locked into, kind of tourist season. There are some ski slopes around us and things like that, but they are a little bit further away. And it's not really, people don't really stop in town the same way that they do during the summer months. So being that we are in a small town, like I said, our borough has 1,500 residents. We're very small. But we have about 6,800 followers on Facebook, and we specifically started with Facebook. That's where we play the most, we put the most attention into into Facebook, because that's where we have found our people are. Andrew talked about in his video a little bit earlier in the week about customer persona, and many of our customers are people who hold Facebook accounts. And so that's where we put a lot of our effort. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too down the road here a little bit in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, being that we were in a tourist town, we knew that if we were going to have a physical store, it's either going to be something that, we would have to have other jobs to kind of supplement. And that's okay too, if that's what works for you. But for us, that's not what we wanted in the long term. We wanted a fully sustainable business on its own that we could live from and grow, really. Because if you start out thinking that you're going to have another job all the time, then that kind of prevents growth in some ways, because you know that the most you're going to do with it is what you're doing with it generally. So we knew that we wanted to grow. We knew we wanted this to be something bigger than us. And so we took to social media. And that's really, a lot of these things are things we've learned along the way. Andrew and I, both here at Allegory Gallery, we go to many different conferences around the country. Just listening to people speak about small business, and whether that's websites and SEO or social media, or having a business plan, things like that. We do take any opportunity we can, especially when they come locally, to visit and go to these conferences and really learn. And so this that I'm going to show you or talk to you about today is really, years of learning, and things that we, like I said, if you're just tuning in, things that we talk to regularly when people ask us about, how do I start a business? What should I do? So that is where we come from. If you watch our lives on our Allegory Gallery page, we have a live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every weekday. The thing that we like is chatting. So I am going to ask you if you would like to chat throughout this video. I will try to reply. I can't reply to everybody, and it doesn't always flow. But if you have any questions, please do ask, especially in the areas that I'm talking about. I will try and do a small question and answer session if anybody wants to at the end. I've been working on this outline throughout the day, and I'm ashamed to say I haven't run through it an entire time in its entirety. So I'm not sure how long this will go on, but I'm happy to be here as long as you all want to be here. And we'll try and go through, like I said, and get some questions answered if you have any that I didn't address, or if you want further information on anything that I say. Okay? So I always like to have a little bit of a lead in, because I know that it takes a while for everybody to get situated here on Facebook. And so hopefully, if you're just tuning in, maybe you know who we are already. If not, you can always watch the replay. But this is William from Allegory Gallery, and we're going to talk about what we recommend and what we talk about with people that we consult with who are talking about starting a small business when it comes to social media. Okay? So I have my notes over here. So if you see me looking, that's why I'm looking at notes. So whenever you're thinking about beginning your business, the thing that people a lot of times put the most effort into, and reasonably so, is choosing a name. And that's a great thing. that's where you get to, you are deciding the future of your business by the name, right? So it's very important. Businesses become our babies, and you are choosing a baby name at this point. So I think it's very important that you take that time. When we were choosing our names, we knew we wanted to reflect, the stories that come from the things that we sell. So beads, first markers of civilization, as Andrew will always say. And, they have history, they have stories about them. Gemstones, they are in the ground for millennia until we dig them up, right? There are stories there that we don't know. And we wanted to choose something that would relate that back to the person and to the making. And so allegory is what we chose. And that's so that you can tell your own story through your creativity, through the things you make, and continue the stories of these beads and gemstones and things that we provide. So all that being said, when you're choosing your name, one of the most important things we always recommend to people is be sure to please, please, please check the main major social media networks to make sure you can reserve your handles. That's the @ and then your name. You may have the best name ever, but if somebody has already taken it on social media, you may want to reconsider. We came up with a number of names before Allegory Gallery that we were looking at, and some of them were taken on Facebook or taken on Instagram, taken on Twitter. And while that's not an end-all, if you're really set on a name, there are workarounds that you can use, whether it's shortening that name somehow or abbreviating that name somehow through your social media handles. The best thing is always going to be that your social media handle matches your business name. And a lot of people don't think to check that before they go filing for their business name, and they have the company set up, and then they go to Twitter or they go to Facebook or Instagram and they go to claim their name and it's taken. So like I said, you can get around that. You can choose short phrases, or you can shorten or hyphenate your name or do a lot of other things. But you are going to have to really fully enforce that screen name handle, that screen name. Because if somebody is going to see Allegory Gallery and say our screen name had to be ALL Gallery, all gallery, okay? And say we got our business name, Allegory Gallery was taken, so we decided all gallery is going to be our screen name everywhere. So on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're all gallery, @all gallery. Well, that's great as long as we make sure and we put all that effort into really publicizing that we are all gallery, not Allegory Gallery. And that seems so contradictory, and it will to your visitors as well. You will always get people who will visit, for example, Allegory Gallery. So it is very important when setting up your business, when thinking about your plan, that you choose based on what's available on social media. I know that really sometimes narrows it down, and it's sometimes sad we don't get the best names or what we think are the best names. But if you don't get your social media handles, you do run the risk of, in the future, if we didn't have Allegory Gallery, somebody else has Allegory Gallery, you don't know what they're going to turn their social media into. And so when you don't have claim to it, we always go with what if somebody's looking for a bead business called Allegory Gallery, and they go to Twitter and it's porn at the @Allegory Gallery screen name? That's not something you want, and that's not something that you want people to think, that they're the same thing, that you're doing both, unless you do. And then that's fine. But most of the time when you're selling gemstones, that's not what you're wanting people to find when they go to your social media. So that's one thing that you really want to make sure. We highly, that's, one of the most important things. When you're choosing your name, you may have found the best name available or best name you think possible for your business. But if you can't get the social media for it, I would highly reconsider and find something that you can get and can get easily and that you can get across the major social media networks. Right now we are on Facebook mostly. We do a little bit here and there on Instagram, and we're on Twitter kind of in the periphery. It's boiling in the back, but it's the back burner. And we will talk about that a little bit too here as I go on, and the way we structure things too. So do make sure you have your name available for your business and you are able to use it in social media. That is tip number one. And after you get those, be sure to fill them out. Fill out your social media profiles. Make sure you get your company name in your profile, get a picture or a logo, a banner, throw out a first post letting people know what you're going to be about. Get that out there, get it claimed, make sure it looks like you. You don't have, the blank faces, blank profiles. You don't want anything like that when you're working on starting your business. Throw some things out there before you put that out into the world. Before you say visit our social media, before you say go find us and like us here, make sure there's something out there, because no one, there's not a lot of interest if you're going to a social media profile. You may be super excited about starting your small business, and of course your friends are going to go out there and like it, but you're going to have a hard time getting anyone to like anything when everything's blank. So reserve them, get them filled out, throw a few posts out there, get started. That's, one of the biggest things. And let's see, Andrew's popping in here too. You can use other platforms to breadcrumb to platforms you do not use. And that's what we're going to talk about too. As a small business owner, you are going to have a ton on your plate. There's a lot to learn. And oftentimes you're learning it very, very quickly under pressure. You can take all the classes in the world. You can, really, you can read all the books you want to, but there is nothing like jumping into it and really, getting to work. And you will have a lot on your plate, I guarantee. So what we often recommend is that you concentrate on your target social media platforms, okay? You can concentrate on where you believe your customers are going to be. You can start with places where you're the most comfortable, because your comfort really has a lot to do with how you're going to feel and how you're going to portray your business on social media. So if you're somebody who uses Facebook a lot, start with Facebook. Make Facebook your main social media platform. And we, as I said, at Allegory Gallery, we mainly focus on Facebook. We work on Instagram as well. We also have a Twitter, like I said, that's kind of the back burner. And that's the reason. You want to make sure that you're focusing, you want to reserve your name everywhere. And that's very important. No matter if you're using that social media network or not, pay attention to the news, get into groups, or whether it's small business groups or social media groups that are going to keep you a little bit up to date on what's going on in the social media world. Because even if a platform is brand new, and you have no idea if this platform is going to go anywhere, nowadays, a lot of times these platforms, you have to be invited in and all that. And that's a whole other topic. But if you can get in as quickly as you can, reserve your company name so that no one else can do it. And then you don't ever have to use it if you're not comfortable with it. And like I said, as a small business owner, you have a lot to do. Do some things for yourself. Use what you're comfortable using at first, at least. And like I said, we started on Facebook, we do some on Instagram, and we have Twitter in the background. Those are our main three, and they are used in that order. We go to Facebook first. This is where we do our lives. This is where we do most of our selling. This is where we show most of our product. Then there's Instagram. We'll throw some of our, highlights on Instagram, and we do some lives and some reels and some stories on Instagram. Stories are great on Instagram, by the way, and we'll get into more of that. But find out what you're comfortable with, reserve them all, but use the ones you're comfortable with, okay? So you can concentrate on what you do best. So if you like to post photos, then post photos. If you are somebody who doesn't mind getting in front of the camera and talking to people live, do the lives. You know, when you're starting out, it's okay to take this a little bit slow. It's okay to find your way. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the next section coming up as far as trying to grow your social media too. But concentrate on your target accounts. And what you can do is you can use schedulers to schedule out other accounts that maybe you don't use so often. So one of the schedulers that we use is called Buffer. That's Buffer, buffer.com. And that allows you to, there are free versions too, which is always great. But what you can do is you can sign up with your social media accounts. So we can sign up with our Facebook, we can sign up with our Instagram, we can sign up with our Twitter. It allows you, I believe, also to do multiple Facebook pages, for example. We have Allegory Gallery. We also have our podcast, Allegory Gallery Interviews, for example. So we can add all of those to the Buffer account that we set up. And then from that point, you can type out your text, and you can type it out as you were doing it. We type it out as we're doing it for Facebook, right? Because that's our main place of being. And so you type that out, you schedule it, you throw in whatever photos you want, whatever you would normally do. It will nicely take you through and let you know what each social media account allows. Some of them don't allow pictures and videos to be posted at the same time. So it will walk you through that and tell you, you need to remove a picture here or a video here. Very simple, very easy way. And then you hit schedule or you hit post. And you can use that to post every time. You can use that just to build up a schedule. Like I said, as a small business owner, we don't have a lot of hours in the day, but when you get a few that you have some downtime, there is no reason why you can't sit down for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, throw in a few posts in a scheduler so that you have your posts done for the week. So a lot of people say, I don't have time to post to 6 different social media platforms every single day. I have to post something. You don't have to. You can get a scheduler. They start for free. Buffer has a free plan, but you can also, upgrade if you have more accounts and more things that you need. So take 15, 20 minutes, schedule out 5 posts, and there you have 1 post a day, every single day, for every single social media platform that you have. So it's really beneficial, and it is something that I would, if I were starting out again, and as we tell people, I would just automatically sign up for a scheduler like that without even starting to go into. You don't go into Facebook and write a post, then go into Instagram and write a post. Just use the scheduler. It makes it so much easier. It saves so much time. Now, you can also, within that scheduler, because somebody asks, well, Instagram posts have to be a little different than Facebook posts. Yes. So all you have to do, schedule out the main text, the main photos, the main idea for each post that you want to make across all of your platforms. And then inside the scheduler, if you want, and if you have extra time, you can go in and tweak each one of those for each social media platform. So maybe you want something very short for Twitter. Well, that's great if you have time to go in there and shorten it and really think, how can I get my same point across but in fewer words? If you have that kind of time, you can still do it there. You don't have to go into Twitter and do it directly. And so it's really, really easy, and I highly recommend Buffer. We've had good experience with it, and I think you will too. Now, there are other ones out there. I believe Hootsuite is another one that a lot of people like. We don't have much experience with it, but it is one that is very popular as well. So that is one of the things that I would say as far as that. Now, you can also add things, that this is a little bit more complicated. But when we have our store based on Shopify, and highly recommend Shopify. None of these companies sponsor us, so these are just all things that we have found in the end have worked the best for us. We've had multiple online stores. Some of them were custom built, some of them we built. We have now, we're now on Shopify. Shopify is, for us, an amazing platform. It lets us do a lot of things. And one of those things are the plugins and the apps that you can add to Shopify. We use one called Social Publish by Social Head. And what that does is it will, in the times that maybe we don't have time to go in and publish a post every day, or we haven't had time to sit down and schedule things out for that week. But what Social Publish does is you set it up and you can, again, tweak every little piece of it if you really want to. But every time we add new things to our online store, for example, Social Publish puts them out there and schedules them out there for us on Facebook, and it can do other ones. We do Facebook and Twitter. And so that is one of the ways that we use Twitter without having to really put a lot of, time into Twitter. We just found that generally our audiences are on Facebook and Instagram, but we don't want anyone feeling left out. We know we have a few people out there on Twitter, and so we always want to publish something. And so when we add new things to the online store, or even Social Publish by Social Head will go through your inventory and every once in a while pop out something new or something that hasn't been shown in a while. So it's a great way to keep your online store tied into your social media. Without you having to go out there and say, okay, I'm going to go, let's go into my products, let's pick a product today, let's take the URL and throw it into Facebook and say, here, look at this today. It does it for you. And sometimes it works very well. We oftentimes get people who sometimes are a little bit upset because they say, well, this just posted an hour ago and it's already sold out. Well, that's its point, right? That's what you hope for, that whenever it puts something onto social media for you, that somebody looks at it and goes and buys it in your online store. So, and being a small store like we are, we don't have a lot of any one thing. So that often happens. And, we're sorry about that, but we're very happy and appreciative of the support of whoever did buy that day. As Andrew said, Twitter is good for working with authors and editors. So that's where Andrew does a lot of press for Allegory Gallery, is through Twitter. And also for Inspired by Reading, Allegory Gallery's book club, Andrew talks with authors and things on there whenever we're doing one of their books for the month. So that's where we get a lot more use out of Twitter. It's less about the products that we sell and more about the services and what we are doing. So that's really the kind of things you have to think about. What are you using social media for? And what do you really, again, what do you feel the most comfortable with? Because that's where you need to start. Because if you don't start with where you're comfortable, you will get frustrated. And no one wants to be frustrated. Social media should be fun. It should be, entertaining. It should be informative, but it should not be something that makes you go, oh, I got to do this again today. You don't want that. So start with what you like, start with what you know, start with what you're comfortable with. But do reserve everywhere. Get your @signs, get your handles everywhere. All right? So the next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is people ask often, how do you grow in your social media? And we're not, like I said, we're not giant social media influencers or anything. We are growing as a small bead business can grow, right? We would love to be crazy and have millions of followers, but as a small bead business, the size that we are now and the size that you're going to be starting out would be hard to manage if you had crazy numbers of followers, right? So the best thing, everyone wants hundreds of thousands of followers, but could you handle hundreds of thousands of comments if you had that many followers? At the beginning, probably not. And so everyone wants to grow really fast, but you have to make sure as a small business owner that you are growing steadily. That is the most important thing. Steady over quick, because you don't want to get an onslaught of social media that you can't handle. Getting the comments, getting the posts, getting the sales. It would be great if you could sell everything all at once, but if we sold everything in our online store at once, it would take us literally probably 6 months to catch up with shipping, right? Because we're small. We are a two-person operation. We are, we have one or two helpers that come in throughout the week and help us do shipping. But you don't want crazy numbers right away. Unless you're ready for that. If you have built that into your business model and you are ready to release to 10,000 people or more, then this presentation I'm giving you is really not for you. You want to go above and beyond this. But as Andrew said, organic is better, quality is better than quantity, and that's exactly what we have found. You want the quality people, you want as Andrew talked about in his meeting, the customer persona that you're looking for. You want to attract the people that you're selling to, right? You don't want quantity over quality. You want the good people, the people who are going to invest in what you're doing, the people who believe in you. We're exceptionally fortunate to have an amazing group of people who truly believe in us and what we do. And when something goes a little bit wrong, they're understanding. They're there to support you. They're there for help. They're there for love. They're there for, that encouragement. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but you have to decide how much you are ready to be out and show who you are. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. As Amy says, quick rise can come with a hard fall too if people lose interest. Exactly. If it's your first time and you're getting an onslaught of social media because you've paid to have all of these followers and suddenly you can't handle it, that's great. It feels really good, to see those numbers tick up on your social media. But if there's nothing that you can do to keep that interest going, that can be a dramatic drop when you start seeing numbers go away. And even on some social media platforms like YouTube, if you get an onslaught of subscribers, but they never watch anything, it actually can be detrimental. So you want to have people who are invested in what you are doing. So growing slowly is a great way to do it. And don't be afraid. Don't be worried when your numbers don't go up on a certain day or you're not seeing a crazy increase at any point in time. People need to find you. They need to understand what your message is. They need to understand who you are, and they need to decide if that's for them. Don't take the social aspect out of it. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. So when you're trying to grow, I think one of the most important things, and I said it a little bit earlier about make sure you keep track of new social media companies and new things that are happening out in the world, and reserve your names. You not only want to do that, but you want to stay up on what's trending. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it. TikTok is a huge thing right now, crazy huge, but it's not where our people are, And could we get new customers that way? Possibly, There's no reason you can't, but it's not something we focus on a huge amount. We've done a few things out there and, sometimes people like it, sometimes people don't. We play around, right? And that's one of the most important things that I can say is don't be afraid to play around, get your social media accounts. If you're not used to being on Facebook or you are used to being on Facebook, but you don't go live, let's say that, Facebook has ways you can make a post that is only to yourself. Set the privacy to be only you. This is a great way to test out things. Set your privacy to only you and, play with the live. Go live, talk to yourself, act like you're talking to people, and just get a feel for your lighting, get a feel for how it is to talk to the camera. Are you comfortable with that? Maybe do it 5-10 times. Get used to it. Don't be afraid to find new social media outlets and just jump in and play around with them. Because, when you're brand new, when you are completely brand new in a social media world, so TikTok was new to us. it was new to everyone at a point in time, right? So when TikTok was new, it had already well taken off before I actually started jumping in and playing with it, because I was a little bit, apprehensive about trying it. But then I said, you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? I have no followers. We didn't set up anything. We didn't publicize that we were joining it. You start out, you have no followers, and you're pretty much shouting out into the ether, right? TikTok is huge. You're putting something out there. The chances of people finding you right away are pretty slim. I mean, a few people will find you. We got some likes on some of our posts. I posted some artwork from Andrew and added some cute music to it and stuff like that. But the thing is I would say, don't be afraid to play, because if these people who find you are ultimately your customer, they're going to love seeing your progress. That's one thing that we have noticed in social media and through being here. The people both who come to our store, who are close enough to physically come to the store, and those out there in the virtual world, once they are your people and once they are your supporters, they are going to love to see you do anything. And you may try, you may fail, and that's okay, because failure is a part of progress. Failure is it's an important part of progress. So go out there, find your new social media accounts, get on TikTok, do something that scares you a little bit. Go out there, make a fool of yourself, have fun, pretend like you're showing off your product, or just watch some TikToks. Watch a few, get out there and try and emulate them. It's not going to hurt you, and you're not going to die of shame. it's we all have this fear, and I was talking about this a little bit today. The more I have anxiety, and I'm pretty open about it. I'm on medication for anxiety. It is something that has gotten to that point in my life that I needed something, and the medication has helped. So it is obviously something that I needed. And with the anxiety, we're constantly, I'm saying we, people with anxiety, I should just talk for myself. I was constantly in my head about, should I do this? Are people going to laugh at me? What's going to happen? What if I mess this up? And you know what? The more that you actually push through that and really realize that, yeah, maybe people will laugh, but aren't you laughing too when you're trying to do something new? I mean, it's always fun and a little bit silly when I try something new on some new social media platform, because you have to make it fun. And if you make it fun and you're laughing about it, then other people will laugh with you, and it's fine. And so one of the things when you want to grow your social media, I must say, is just play around. Find the platforms that you're uncomfortable with. Throw something out there once in a while that's a little bit crazy, and don't worry about it, because you're going to find your way. And that way may not be TikTok. TikTok isn't a big thing for us. Every once in a while I might throw something out there, but there is no harm in giving it a try, because you know what? Maybe you love it. Maybe after trying it a few times, you were like, this is freaking amazing. I'm going to be on TikTok every freaking day. And maybe that's the best thing for your business, right? So don't be afraid to try. Now, when you are trying, and whether it's something that you know well or don't, if, for example, I use Instagram as an example of this all the time, because Instagram they have posts, they have stories, they have reels, and they have lives, right? You can do all of that stuff, all 4 of those things, on Instagram. And so when you are utilizing these social media outlets, really, really utilize them. And we're going to talk about not much about algorithms, because people always talk about whether or not they're useful. And I'll get into that a little bit, or at least figuring them out, if figuring them out is useful. But one of the things that has been coming out in the media of recently here is that on Instagram for the major influencers, Instagram likes to see every piece of the pie, so to say, being used a few times a week. So multiple posts a week, multiple reels a week, multiple stories a week, and multiple lives a week. And that's a lot. That is a lot. When you're a small business owner, you know, it's these, the schedulers like Buffer, they can do a lot. They can mainly work with posts. So sometimes the stories are a little bit more difficult. You can share those between Facebook and Instagram pretty easily when you tie your accounts together, since they're both owned by Facebook. So that helps a little bit. But I'll tell you, trying to come up with a post a few times a week, a story a few times a week, a reel a few times a week, and a live a few times a week on Instagram is a lot when you have all of your other social media that you want to do as well. So one of the things that I recommend is, if you, for example, are going to do a video, okay, you want to talk about, you're going to do a live. Let's say you're going to do a live, or just a video in general about a product. You can take that video or that live and you can take a clip of it. And so you're starting with the video, you take a clip of that video and you use that clip in a reel, okay? So you're already starting with one thing you've already done. You're taking a piece of that thing for another part of the social media pie and using that. And then you take a photo from the video or a screenshot from the video and use that as your story and a post. So I recommend, if you can, that you take pieces, you work from larger pieces and use everything you can within that. That way you're not constantly looking for brand new things all the time. Reuse as much of the media that you're making as you can. So maybe you have a podcast and you want to use a sound clip from that podcast, or maybe your podcast is recorded with video and you can use a piece of that video as a reel on Instagram. So take what you have, take what you've already made, work with the biggest thing, and use components of that to, you know, use them in other ways. Reusing, repurposing, so that you get maximum benefit. As Andrew said, maximize your reach, to work smarter, not harder. And that's exactly what it's about. Take a video that you've created about a product and chop that video up in many ways so that you can use those without having to make all new content all the time. And so the thing is with that, what a lot of people don't realize is that here on Facebook, for example, if you do a live like I'm doing right now here on Facebook, once this has been published, you can go in to edit this video, and Facebook has a clipping tool, which is different from the trimming tool. Be careful you're not using the trimming tool. But there is a clipping tool where you can take clips of your video that you've already made here on Facebook, save those clips, and then you can promote those clips as individual little videos. So that if I wanted to take just this portion of this video that I'm talking about right now, I could clip it out, send that off to our social media and say, hey everybody, take a look at this clip from our video. If you like this, you might want to watch the whole video over here on our live tab. So reuse as much as you can and really get in the habit of going from the big idea and how you can take that big idea and just repurpose it many, many times over your social media platforms. That will help you a ton in trying to reach those goals of, you know, trying to use every piece of the social media platform. So I'm just trying to read a few comments here. I'm trying not to get into it too much because I know I'm going long maybe as it is, but we've got a lot more to cover too. Mary said, checked Facebook and there's already a business with the name of my business. Never thought to check social media. See, and that's the thing. You don't want to get surprised with things like that, right? Because that's a big thing. It never used to be, but now that social media is so huge, that is a big thing. I'm just scrolling back through some of the comments in case I missed anything. let's see here. My husband is listening and he said this is invaluable information. He is an innovative person in his field. Thank you so much, Julie. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Let's see here. So, check face. Okay. So sorry. I do like to chat with people. I normally, if you haven't watched our lives at Allegory Gallery, normally we get very involved in various conversations. And this is very strange for me to try to be on the mostly talking end and not, sort of chatting end. So sorry if I get a little distracted reading some comments, because I love reading your comments. The other thing that do I try to figure out the algorithms? And if you don't know what that means how does Facebook or how does YouTube decide to promote me as a small business? What do I have to do to get YouTube, for example, to show my videos instead of someone else's? Or how do I get them, like, do I upload 6 times a week? Do I upload and do lives, or do I do pre-recorded videos? What does it take to get these platforms to push me out and help me find subscribers and followers? And I will tell you, from any research I've done, and from talking to people, and from watching many, many videos on the subject, it's possibly a waste of time to try to figure all this out, because some of the biggest players in all of these arenas have no idea really what the algorithms are. They don't know necessarily why they've been put ahead of anyone else. Other than, and this is the biggest thing that I can recommend to you, is to be consistent. Be consistent. If you are going to choose Facebook and you are going to work with Facebook mostly, be consistent in your posting. Nothing is worse than going to a business page and having to, for example, on Facebook, and going to a business page there and seeing a post that is 3 months old and wondering if that business is still in business, right? So you always want to be consistent. If you're going to start posting on Facebook, keep posting on Facebook. Even if you find out that Facebook isn't your thing, then use the schedulers that I've talked about earlier and still post to Facebook. Even if you're not going to be completely active there and you're not going to always join conversations there, keep going, keep doing it. That's why we're not big on Twitter. We started out on Twitter. We started doing more on Twitter at one point, and then it wasn't something that we felt fit our business in the product side of it. As Andrew said, he does a lot of talking with authors and talking with, reporters and newspapers there, and that's perfect for that for us. But we still added in to promote our products from our online store. There's still something going on our Twitter all the time, even if we're not always there. And so you want to stay consistent. You want to, as Andrew said, create good and engaging content. And what does that mean? That can be different for everyone. You can be serious, you can be funny, you can be silly, you can be, whatever is best for your business, but create the good content, the content that your customers want to see, and create engaging content. Engage with your people. When the pandemic started, Andrew and I decided that since our walk-in traffic was completely nearly diminished, that we would go full force here on social media, and Facebook was a big part of that. So we decided every day we are going to have a 5 o'clock live. And we're going to show something new. We're going to show something from in-store. We're going to just sit and chat with people. But we try every week, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, to have a live at 5 p.m. And, sometimes things come up, especially with a live, because you cannot pre-schedule a live, right? It's not possible. So every once in a while that happens. Just let your people know. Throw a post up saying, I'm sorry, we're not going to be on today, but we're going to resume tomorrow. That's all people need to know. But be as consistent as you can. And that is probably, as far as I've seen and I've heard, the number one way to continue to grow is be consistent. You can try to figure out the algorithms if you want to. You can read the latest research on it, what people assume. You can talk to the biggest people in the industry and how they're doing things. And you can try to figure that out. But most of them, in all of their advice, always say be consistent. So do be consistent with what you're doing. And Andrew's saying, also don't get hung up on perfect. Done is better than perfect. Especially on social media. So don't get paralyzed trying to perfect it too much. That is true. And is it better to, get something out there, or is it better to never start? And that's really what it comes down to. You can either decide you're never going to start because it's not perfect enough, or you can get it out there and you can get the ball rolling and get your business moving. And that's really what it is. You want to get out there. You will get better. You will figure it out. Whenever I stopped working my second job to come in and really have this business for us full time, I took over a lot of the photography of whatever we were showing, our products, and I was not the best at it at all. Andrew took by far better photos, and things were a lot prettier with his artistic viewpoint of things. But you know what? As I played around and as I did it more and more and more, and just looking at things and analyzing things and trying new things, I found my way. And I'm not saying my photos are by far the best. I'm not saying we're the most aesthetic, but they work for us and they give you a real representation of what you're going to get. And for us, that's important. When you're looking at gemstones and beads, we want to give you the best, the most true representation of what you're going to get. So I will say, if you're going to be on Facebook, and this is another part of growing, if your business is on Facebook, do create a group for your business. So maybe you've all noticed out there that a lot of businesses, hey, come join my private selling group or come join my private makers group. And there is a reason for that. Facebook likes groups. And at one point, Facebook was headed very group oriented. And I think they've kind of calmed on that a little bit, but they still like groups. So your business page, and be sure to start a business page if you're starting a business. Don't start a business group only. Start with a business page, then from that page, create a business group. And whether that's a selling group, whether that's just a community. We have a design challenge group. So that's a group where we have our kits and we sell these kits and people make things with them and they post in this group. And this group has grown beyond just those kits. But you definitely want to start a group. And invite everyone on your business page to join that group. And really, work the group too. Make sure you're interactive in the group. Make sure that people have a reason to stay in the group, because that is a big part of Facebook's, I think, major plan. They've pretty much flat out said that at one point, that groups were a very important part of their features and their products. So definitely, if you have a page, start at least one group that is hosted and owned by that page. And talking about, let me just see here. I'm going a little out of order from my outline, so I'm catching up. Let me see what everyone is saying. Let's see. Oops, I'm trying to read things. I was told you cannot buy or sell on Facebook, and I was almost taken off Facebook. Where can I sell on Facebook? So there are... And you really, I can tell you so much. The best thing to do, because these change all the time, you do have to, keep up with the terms and conditions of Facebook. You can sell on Facebook. Facebook has Facebook stores, right? Facebook shops, I think they call them. So if you have a business page, you start the business page, you start a Facebook shop, and you sell from that. That's perfectly fine. Facebook allows you to do that. There are certain restrictions. A lot of times, a lot of people used to get in trouble for giveaways. And it's been a while since I have checked the Facebook terms of service for giveaways. But when you do that, all those giveaways that say, be sure to like our page, be sure to comment this, be sure to tag a friend, every single one of those things was against the terms of service on Facebook. Forcing someone to like your page for a giveaway, forcing someone to write a comment, forcing someone to tag someone else, all against terms of service for Facebook. So many in the early days, or mid early days, a lot of businesses got in trouble, especially if they were reported, for having giveaways that asked you to do these things, because the idea behind Facebook is not to try to force people into liking things. It's to find your community, right? And at least that's what is said. So doing giveaways in a way that that force people into things that they may not necessarily have done normally or through a natural occurrence was against their terms of service. And as Andrew said, for a time, they were trying to crack down on selling groups as well. And so a lot of that, as he said, often comes up when you find out why. And so Facebook Marketplace, a place where anybody can sell anything, was one of the reasons that they were cracking down on groups, or one of the assumed reasons, or that we assume they were cracking down on selling groups. But if you do want to sell on Facebook, like I said, one of the best ways to do that is to start a business page and open a Facebook shop. Super easy that way. If you have a website like we have, again, I talk about we have Shopify. If you have Shopify, I believe Etsy does it as well. You can link those two together. So as soon as you add a new product on Shopify, for example, it pushes it through over into Facebook. And of course, then if you're tied into Instagram, over to the Instagram shops as well. So you can definitely link things. You can definitely do it in the way that Facebook provides. And so if you're doing it the way they provide, then of course, it's going to be permissible and you'll be fine. So, there are, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. You can, until you get very large, you can get away with a lot of different things. And of course, there are people who sell things on Facebook without going through any of those routes. And that's just whether it's up to the terms of service and whether you get caught, just like anything else, right? But if you want to do it legitimately and you want to start your business in what I think would be the right way, then start a business page and sell from that page. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that. Of course, Facebook, through their credit card processors and things, will take some fees, but you're going to get that pretty much anywhere you go, right? So credit card processors are always going to need to capture fees to keep their businesses alive, right? So that's always going to be something. And, when you set something up the right way, at least you know that you're safe. You're going to be able to continue to sell. You're not going to get your page taken down or your profile taken down for voiding the terms of service. Another thing that we always talk about, and I sort of talked about this a little bit, is to, decide how much you want to put yourself out there on social media. There are a lot of things like this that, you can focus on being kind of a lifestyle brand where, you're out there all the time and your face and your way of doing things and you are the product in some cases, in some ways. And so people want to follow you. They want to know about your life. They want to know what you're doing. You can create very successful businesses this way. You can take them out into doing vlogs on YouTube and things like that. And, you can also go completely the other way where people have no idea who you as the owner really are, but you focus on your products and you focus on your services. And that's fine too. You have to decide what is more comfortable for you to do. And only you know that. And as I talked about earlier, taking chances and just playing around, you will figure out, if you play around enough on social media and, you know, use that use that trick on Facebook to only publicize to yourself. Set your privacy to only me, and go live and just, you know, have fun with it. And if you feel like that's something that you're comfortable with after a time, maybe you want to turn it into more of a lifestyle type thing where people know you and you know them. Here at Allegory Gallery, we kind of ride that line. We're not completely lifestyle. We're not going to completely take you through our home and, you know, this is me brushing my teeth this morning. This is me cooking dinner tonight. You know, we're not that far into the lifestyle brand, but we do talk with people. We do, you know, I just talked a few minutes ago about my anxiety. We are open to people, and we do definitely, you know, share a lot of our lives. And we also, in return, get a lot of our supporters sharing their lives with us. And that's the way we like it. That's what we're comfortable with. We talk about our selling videos throughout the week, and I always try to let people know, you know, we try to do more than just sell you stuff, because, you know, just throwing stuff on a table and showing it to you on a camera and saying goodbye after we're done is not the way we choose to do business. It's something that is a little bit, you know, it's a little bit kind of, you know, throw out culture. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but we like that personal touch. We like to know who our supporters are, and it's very important to us that we spend time with you all as our community out there. And that's how we do things, but it's not the only way to do things. We could have easily been a brand where we show you products, we show you only the products and the services, and you have no idea who's running anything behind the scenes. So play around on social media, figure those things out for yourself, what you're comfortable with, what you want to do. For us, and in all the different areas we're getting into, we're starting another business called Star Cottage Studio. And for us, having our followers at Allegory Gallery be interested in what we are doing as people and in this new venture that we're taking is fun, and it's interesting, and it's a way that we can spread the love and spread the community and maybe get more people interested in other things that we're doing, right? So that works for us. But if you are a company that is solely focused on maybe exceptionally high-end jewelry, for example, maybe you don't want your face to be synonymous with your name. Maybe you just want the company name and the products, and that's good for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you do need to know that. You need to figure that out so that you know how to create your social media and create the aesthetic on your social media. And so that's one of the things, the aesthetic. And that's one of the things that, you know, I personally have a harder time with, is keeping our aesthetic. And that's kind of the overall look and feel of your social media. And excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. I've been talking a while. So I have a hard time with that because I like to change things up every once in a while, right? So our social media, if you take our Instagram, for example, and you scroll through it, you will probably fairly plainly see blocks or chunks of moments in time where our aesthetic has changed. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that, but it does help if, when somebody goes to your Instagram account, for example, and things look the same. They have a vibe, you know, that things look similar. And you can create that in a lot of different ways. Sarah was talking a lot about photos, and a lot of her advice on how to get great photos. That's a good way to think about your aesthetic, is to really, you know, check your photos, have them similar, have something that vibes together in all of the photos, that makes them cohesive. So that's something that you really should think about. I'm not the best one to give you advice on that, like I said, because I do change my aesthetic, not often, but semi-often. And So our aesthetic more, I would say, is more of the social aspect of our business, that we interact with people, that we, talk to people and chat to people here, and we answer questions and we're available to ask things. So that's more important to us than the overall aesthetic of when somebody comes in. But you do want to keep that in mind. And I would be, I would be failing you if I didn't say that you should try to develop some sort of aesthetic for your social media, because it is important. And you want to have the kind of tone set when somebody comes to your social media. What's the tone that you want set? And that's really what that's about. Let's see, where are we now? One thing I will say, and Amy, she's saying, I can send a screenshot of video to a friend and it will be recognized because of the wood tray. See, and that's the thing. Like I use for a lot of our pictures a particular wooden tray. And it's funny that you say that, Amy, because I was wondering if that ever happened. For our photos, for our videos, a lot of times we'll have a particular wooden tray that we use. And so when Amy sends it to friends, they know it's an Allegory Gallery product. So that's really, it is something you want to talk about. And Andrew, as he said, Cynthia of Green Girl Studios does a great job on Instagram and creating a beautiful flavor. And it's very true. If you visit Green Girl Studios on Instagram, it's beautiful. And she does a great job with aesthetic. It's a great vibe. Azalea, our niece and Cynthia's daughter, Azalea Ogden, does an amazing job on aesthetics too. Her Instagram is very aesthetic. I had a young person tell me that, so I know it's true, right? So listen to those young people. They will help you out. And don't be afraid to ask your nieces and nephews or sons and daughters, don't be afraid to ask them to look at your social media and offer suggestions. Sometimes as adults, we kind of, we don't listen to younger people all the time as much as we can. And when it comes to these things, when it comes to social media and what's happening and what's, in the moment, they are a very, very good indicator of what you should be doing, or what you can be doing. So definitely feel free to reach out to them if you have any around you and get some questions answered. It's not going to hurt you to take in their information. You may ultimately decide that it's not for you. It depends who your audience is, right? And so sometimes those things aren't going to work for you. I don't know that TikTok would ever work for us as a business because it's not generally our demographic. But, if we're going to do something on TikTok, then why not do it in the TikTok way, right? And really give it our all if that was really what we were going to. And I know some young people who could definitely help us with that, and I would definitely be consulting them if that's what we did. Everyone has value, and don't be afraid to ask people. You don't have to take their advice. You never have to take their advice as a business owner, right? But it doesn't hurt to gather that information, right? So reaching out to people is very important, and that leads to my next point. Reach out to your followers. Ask them flat out to please share this. We do that often. Please share this. Please hit that like. Please subscribe. If you don't ask, people aren't going to know that you need them to do it. So don't hesitate to ask your followers. There was a statistic: 91% of your mentions that you're going to see pop up are from people with less than 500 followers. So what that tells me is that when you're out there and you're like, oh, I wish this person with 1 million followers would retweet or would repost or would comment, that's great if you can get that. But the most important people to your business, the 91% of people, are going to have less than 500 followers of their own. So instead of trying to always hit those social media influencers, instead of trying to, go toward them, go reach out to your followers and say, hey, would you retweet this, or would you mention us, or would you, tag us? Because that's how the majority of of businesses and the majority of mentions function, they come from these people who have less than 500 followers. So use that to your advantage. Ask your people, please hit that share button, please. It really helps. When it does come to social media as a business owner, of course, getting people to purchase from a social media post, number one. You would love to have everyone hit that buy now button, right? So that's great if you can get it. Not everyone can afford to buy everything you put out there, right? So the second best thing that anyone can do, I believe, to help your business is to share. Share it, give, recommendations or reviews, positive reviews. As Andrew said, word of mouth still helps. So build your business slowly and build it by word of mouth. Those are still things that, in the world of business, they have always been steady. They have always been the same. Building gradually and building by word of mouth with positive influence they're the best things that you can do for your business. So if you can get your followers who are already supporting you, and of course, if you can get them to purchase, amazing. That's the point of having a business, is to sell things, right? But if they can't purchase for the moment, let them know. Be honest with them. Let them know that if they share this post, or if they share this video, like if you would share this video out there, that is telling their friends and their followers that you recommend us, right? They recommend us. So anytime somebody is willing to share your video or share your posts, that is already a positive word of mouth. Hey, my friend must recommend these people enough to hit that share button. So that's what we always try to let people know, that if you can't purchase from us, if you are in a situation right now where you are unable to purchase, please, do the second best thing. Hit that share button. Let people know that you exist. Let people know that our business exists. And so we're not afraid to ask that. Some people seem timid about it. I'm out there. It's exactly, you have to ask for things that you want in life, right? So you want shares. You want to build your foundation. And it's not so that you can get millions of followers. And that's what we talk about in our lives too. The reason you want people to share, right, is so that you can offer them more. The more people we have on our social media means we have more people watching our videos, means we have more people seeing our posts, which hopefully translates into more sales, which means more income to do more things with, whether that's community support, whether that's classes and intensives and things like that, or whether that's just an amazing array of new products for all of you to purchase, right? So that's what you want to give people a reason to hit that share. Not only because they support you, but because the more that happens, the bigger you build up that customer base and that support base, the more you can actually do, right? And do for them. Because in the end, your business is not for you. Your business is for the people that you're selling to and supporting that way. So Allegory Gallery, yes, we make a life off of it, but it is nothing if we don't have the people out there who really believe in what we do and support what we do. Our business is for them. And so keep that in mind in social media. Your business is not always for you. You are doing things for them. You want to portray your product as real as you can so that when people get it or receive it, it looks like what it should, for example. That's what we try to do in our photos. We don't want to, change colors. If anything, I change colors out of some things that might have been even prettier, because you can add filters and make things look lovely. But if the customer gets it and it looks nothing like it, who hasn't had that experience before? I have many times. And I don't do business with people who do that because I know that the product I'm getting is not going to be the same. So when you're out there, be real to your people. Let them know what you need because generally they'll be happy to support you, especially when they're already followers and supporters of you. Now, all of that being said, we're going to start to wrap up. I know I'm going a little bit long, but I wanted to flick through. I saw somebody asking some things, and I want to make sure I don't want to miss too much. Let's see. Sandra says, people have told me to have my website in Etsy, but I feel Etsy is more a race to the bottom. That's why I never build on Etsy. Thoughts? Excuse me. We are on Etsy. That was one of the places that we had our online store, and we focused on quite a lot. We got a lot of, I'm not going to say a lot, but we got a number of, we have a nice sell tally on Etsy, but it's one of those things right now that we have some products out there to keep our account alive. If people find us, hopefully they will look to our website, because that's where we mainly focus on. I don't like to talk about race to a bottom because of that. I don't feel like Etsy is that thing yet. But I do understand you may not have effort to put into both your website, if you're selling there, and Etsy or another online store. And I think that's perfectly okay. It's up to you to decide whether it's worth having on Etsy or not. Maybe you put a few products up there that you separate from your main stock and move them over to Etsy, and just have a steady Etsy there for people to find you. I think it would be very strange that if people looked up Allegory Gallery and they didn't see us on Etsy. I think that would be kind of for us, I would feel like it's a failing that we are not in one of the major, if not the most major marketplace for handmade goods. So I think it's good to be there and have a presence, but that doesn't mean that you have to, compulsively check it or add to it or make it as dynamic. It's a place for people to find you, and, that might be just the start of their journey with your company. So that's what I would say. I would say that if you can have an Etsy, I would continue doing that, especially if you're making handmade goods and jewelry and things like that. It's a wonderful place to be for that. I know that their fees are a little bit different, and some people have some issues with them. But if you're just there selling a few things just so that people can say, hey, this company is here, or if they look up your name on Google, it might pop up on Etsy first, because Etsy has great SEO. And if they find some of your things on Etsy and they say, you know what, I'm going to see if they have a website to take this further, that's great. That's only going to help you, right? So that's what I would say. As Andrew said, yeah, there are a lot of fees. It can be hard to run on some margins. There are a lot of really successful businesses. So all of this now having been said about social media, one of the most important things that we really talk about with people when we do consults, and I've talked about this in our lives on Allegory Gallery's page too, is to have a backup, okay? So that can mean many different things in many different social media platforms. And I'm going to focus right now kind of a little bit on Facebook and a little bit on email, okay? So anything can happen at any time, right? Facebook is a wonderful place to be. We have made most of our business here. And it's for all of its, presumed failures and, things that make things a little bit more difficult sometimes, they do a lot of tests. You get different apps. Sometimes the app updates in different ways for different people because they put people into different testing categories. So it's something that they do, but it's probably not going anywhere, right? At least anytime soon. But it doesn't mean that somebody won't decide that your page has done something wrong, or you've missed a terms of service thing that you should have caught or maybe didn't know about, So anything can happen at any time. And that is where, you always want to make sure you have a backup plan of some sort. Okay. So the biggest thing that most people believe email is dead. that email is not a good way to get business. Email is not a great way to stay in touch with people anymore because people get so much email and they just toss it out. And some of that is true. Email is one of it's one of the biggest things, but it is also very much not dead. Take any business conference and where they're talking about email, and email is still one of the kings of media. Okay, so always have a backup, to me and to Allegory Gallery, means to always have a way that people can subscribe to our email list. It's super important to us. Our email list is never sold to anyone else. We always make sure people know that. But if something were to happen, like I said, we have about 6,700 followers here on Facebook. And Facebook has turned now more to followers than likes. If you've not kind of noticed that happening, sometimes you can't like a business anymore. So you just follow the business, and that's the route that we see Facebook going right now. So a lot of times likes will be a lot lower right now than followers. And so we have about 6,700 followers here on Facebook for Allegory Gallery. And like I said at the beginning, we're in a town of about 1,500 people in our borough. So it's I think that's a great number for as small as our business looks to be when you look at it. And with all that going on, if something would happen to all those followers on Facebook, how would we ever rebuild? If you don't have a backup plan, then the only way to rebuild is to start a brand new page and start from scratch, that you have no other option. And you just hope that all of your supporters will say, hey, wonder what happened to them, wonder if I can find them again. And hopefully they find your new page, whatever you've had to name it, So it's always good to make sure you have a backup, and email is a great way to do that because it's easy to integrate onto your website. Make sure that on Allegory Gallery's website, you can put your email anywhere. You can put it on any page. It's always at the footer of every page. So we make sure it's super easy. You just need your email. You don't need your full name, your last name, all that stuff. It may seem a little bit impersonal to not collect all of the information, but the most important thing is that you can reach out to your followers if something happens. And so this happened to a local business person. Somebody reported them personally. Maybe didn't like their post, maybe didn't like their politics, whatever it was, they got reported, and Facebook banned their personal account from Facebook. Now, this person was also a business owner, and because they had no other admin on their business page, the business page was also terminated. So after building up this local business and after having been banned, you can fight so much on Facebook about having been banned but sometimes there's no coming back from it. Sometimes you start a new profile and that's all you can do. When you don't have another admin on your Facebook page, if you are banned personally on your personal page, it will possibly take down your business page. So one of the things we always recommend is if you have a trusted contact and you really do have to have somebody you trust, make them an admin on your business page on Facebook. Now, an admin can also kick out another admin. So you, like I said, you have to make sure it's someone you trust. If it's your spouse, if it's your kids, just have someone else that if you are, for any reason, personally banned or your account personally is taken down, that you have somebody else that can run that page and that can add you back in when you create a new personal profile. It's something that people don't think about very often. Until it happened to a local business owner, it wasn't something we thought about very often, but it is something now we incorporate into our consults with people. If you create a business Facebook page, please, if you can have somebody you trust, add them as a second admin to your page, so that just in case anybody, for any reason, They may not like your politics. They may not like you personally for some reason. They may just be a competitor. Who knows why? But if they report your personal page on Facebook and Facebook decides to terminate your personal page, that means all of your connections across Facebook are terminated. And if you're the only admin of a business page, that takes your business page down too. So always definitely try to have a second admin, somebody that can control the page, somebody that can keep the page going if you are reported, and somebody who can add you back in to the page whenever you get another personal account set back up. Okay. And like I said, email is another thing that you definitely want to capture. If you lose your account, if you lose any of your business accounts, at least you have your email list you can send out to people. Your true followers will look at your emails. If you look at how you function, I know I look at how I function through email. When I have favorites, companies that I love to purchase from, companies that I believe in, I read their emails. I get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. And some of them, yes, I check right off and I hit delete. I don't even read them. But for the ones that have catchy titles, or for the ones that I particularly know that I love to shop at, I will read their emails pretty much every single day. So the you want to make sure you have an email list. There are various places, as Molly's asking, where are good places to set up an email list. When I set up an email list, there are many places to do that. You can do it at Constant Contact. You can do it at MailChimp. MailChimp is what we started out using and what I have used for many businesses that we've set up or helped people set up. I love MailChimp. It's easy to integrate into your websites. Most websites or large website providers have tie-ins that make it easy to insert into. So those are definitely two that I would recommend and go with. We have transferred, because we use Shopify now, and we wanted to do some more in-depth things with our email list. We use a company called Segundo, and that is our email list for Allegory Gallery now. It comes out of Segundo, and that it allows us to do much more within Shopify, and it ties into Shopify a little bit better than what we could get with MailChimp at the time. I haven't gone back ever since, just because I'm happy with where I am. Now, sometimes all these things cost a little bit more. MailChimp does have a free level, I believe, still, and you can get that up to a number of subscribers, and once you surpass that, then you start paying for it. So you just have to look at those options and what's good for you. But you can keep an email list anywhere. If you don't plan on using email marketing, and you don't necessarily have to, right? You just want to collect that email list so that you can email subscribers if something happens. You can use it completely as a backup. But email, I will say, is a great way to stay in touch with people. And I personally know I need to make more time for our email list. So if you're on our email list, I apologize that we've not been as chatty with you, but it is a great way to do business still. And it is still one of the reigning ways to reach out to people, okay? And I will just say another thing as far as email, blogs as well. Blogs are, they were something that was amazingly huge at one point in time. Andrew, our business was we often say that Allegory Gallery was kind of built from the blog, because Andrew had a lot of great people following him there. And when we started the business together, a lot of them followed us over from that. And while blogs aren't as popular as they used to be, they are still quite popular with SEO, and that's search engine optimization. So if you do have a website, and on that website, it is helpful to have a blog where you write about industry-specific things, things that are going on in your company, because Google kind of loves that stuff, right? So there are various things that you can get into a little bit more in depth. There was a point in time a few years ago, and I don't know if it's still happening, but there was a point in time that if you had a podcast, Google raised you up in the ratings if they knew you were specifically a small business with a podcast, because that's when podcasts were really happening, and they're still happening quite a lot right now. But if you had one, Google would raise you up in the ratings when people searched for you. So that was one of the reasons we started Allegory Gallery Interviews. And I had always wanted one anyway, and it just gave us the boost to really do one. So blogs are not dead. Email is certainly not dead. They're all great ways to have a backup for yourself and for your customers to be able to find you. So that is kind of my presentation today. If you have any questions, I'm going to scroll through here and just see if I missed any. I think there was somebody that I may have missed something. I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Kathy says, for those of us trying to make a business of it as a side gig, what is the best to focus on with our limited time and energy? That's a hard thing to answer, Kathy, because I don't know what kind of business you want to have. If you are selling, for example, jewelry, you have to decide whether you want to do that mostly through a website or through social media. And I think that's really the decision that you have to make. Social media, especially platforms like Facebook and Instagram, have made it exceptionally easy nowadays to create an online store through them. And you can simply create a store through them, and any follower will see your things that you have for sale. I will say, for us, we would still want a website. We work a lot out of our website, but we also do a lot of different groups and a lot of different classes and a lot of different things that a website, having everything right in one spot where people can see things, is very valuable. And we may as well have our store there too, right? And some people will always be hesitant to purchase through Instagram or purchase through Facebook. And that's becoming less and less now. People are getting used to things, but there's always kind of that hesitation for some people. So they would prefer to be able to just go into an online store. They're more accustomed to going to a website. So it really is hard for me to say where to put your energy. But going back to Andrew's presentation about customer persona, if you've not watched that one yet, do check that out, because your energy is always best spent where your customer is. And that's what it comes down to. That's why we are on Facebook more than anything else, because our customers are here on Facebook. We have a few on Instagram, and so we put energy into Instagram. Definitely not as much as Facebook, or we'd be doing Instagram lives every day too. But your energy should go where your customer is, and really knowing who your customer is and the demographics that you're selling to, that's really where you need to focus your energy. And I wish I could give you more than that, but only you can figure that out really for your own business. Let's see here. Just scrolling through, seeing if I'm missing anything else. I think I think Andrew answered that for Eileen. Aren't websites expensive? And they don't have to be. I think Andrew answered that already. You can start a Shopify website, I think, for $30 a month. And that is something that that's actually the level we're on. I'll be completely honest. We're on the $30 level. Now, all those apps that I mentioned, not all of them, but some of them cost extra money. So our email list that ties in a little bit more closely with Shopify, that costs us some money a month. And so there are things you can purchase postage through Shopify, and that costs extra, of course. They're going to charge you for that postage. So, but you can start out with a very basic website for absolutely nothing if you want to, but you can also do something like Shopify for $30 a month. And I know at the very beginning, $30 a month to a small business is a lot of money. And we had looked at that too. There are other options. There's a place called Big Cartel, BIGCARTEL, bigcartel.com. And that was actually our very, very first online store. And they have a free level, which I think you can have 5 products on there for free. Um, and I think you can have multiple variations of each product. So for example, if you sell t-shirts, if you have a design of a t-shirt, but you offer it in multiple colors, that only counts as one product. So Big Cartel is very good. They were very good with customer service. We just kind of outgrew them because I think they stop at, I don't know if it's 1,000 products. And at one point in our online store, we had much more than that. So when we kind of outgrew them, then we moved on to our own custom built website and online store. And then when that got to be a little bit too much, we moved over to Shopify, and we've been very happy with that at the $30 level, plus all our add-ins that we do. But you can definitely do a website for fairly inexpensive or fairly inexpensively. Let's see here. Let's see here. Do you regularly read all comments on your social media accounts and comment? That is, if anyone knows us, they know that we absolutely try to do the best we can with responding to people. That being said, there are two of us that run this business, and we don't give our helpers access to our social media to answer for us. That's not something that's not the point that we're at yet. We still like to have that personal touch on things. And so we do regularly read through comments. We don't always comment back. And we do as much as we can. And we try to make sure that we are giving you as much attention as possible. Again, that being said, if we gave you all of our attention, you would never get a package out again. So there is a balance. And as all small business owners, and that's kind of what I tailored this to, is if you're starting a small business, you will have time when you can take downtime and comment and like and share posts and chat with people there. So we do regularly read through comments. And we kind of divide it up a little bit as much as we can, and that's great when you have two people. But if you only have one, you try and do the best you can do. The most important thing, I think, is that your people, your main supporters, we call it our community out there, knows that you are available if they really need you. If somebody really needs us and they send us a message, we try to get back to messages, within a certain period of time. And no one is going to be upset if you miss commenting on a particular comment or if you don't like their comment all the time. But if they really need you and they know you're available, that's going to be probably the best thing that you can do, is just know and have them know that you are open and available when they need you. So we do read through most of our comments. We do try to comment back on things that, either really need attention, but we have also, through our live videos and through our social media, we have tried to let people know that if they really need something, to message us. And that's always a good option, I think, is to make sure that you let your people know, your supporters and your customers know, what is the best way to reach you if they absolutely have to. Because if you don't tell them, they won't know. And so that's when you can get into problems. If you can't possibly get through all the comments, and somebody really needed something and they thought a comment would work and it doesn't, that's where somebody feels let down. So we always try to let people know, if you absolutely need us, either email us or message us, at the business directly. Excuse me. So I think that's really what you want to work with, is kind of let your people know how to reach you and how best to reach you. But we do love our comments, and we do love looking through them all. It's a really special thing that we have with social media nowadays, where we can be in touch with so many people. But the thing is if somebody watches one of our videos from 2 months ago, Facebook may not notify us. That's another thing too that you will realize as you have a business page and a personal page. Facebook does not send you every single notification on every single post or every single comment that somebody has made. It kind of would be nice if they did, but you would be inundated with so many notifications. So they kind of, hit you sometimes here and there, letting you know. So there are some, obviously, some comments and things that we will miss because we don't get a notification about them. And we're not going to know to go back and look at a video from 3 months ago just to check for comments. So we do our best. And I think as a business, as long as your supporters know you're doing your best and they have a way to reach you if they need to, I think that's what's most important. Now, let me scroll back here. Let's see here. I'm just going here. Let's see. I'm trying to see what... Kathy's saying, I paid for a business level of Wix for a website, and my website designer sister was really impressed with the outcome. The free version doesn't even allow you to take payments, although through it online, so it's kind of pointless. The free version of Wix. I've never used Wix, so I don't know what the free version of that is. But it's good to hear about that and to know what things are going on. Let's see here. As Andrew said there, websites are like digital business cards. Even if something doesn't allow you to take payments, you can have a presence. But there are, if your main intention is selling, then that's something you want to do on a website. Then sometimes you do have to pay for it. Big Cartel was one that their free plan allowed you. I haven't checked it recently, but their free plan with 5 products allowed you to still take credit cards and things. So that's one of the reasons we went with them, because we could kind of try it out for free, and test it and do all that. And then as we grew, we eventually grew out of it. But it was a very good platform and very, very good with customer service. As Andrew said, we do appreciate comments. So, comments are just, I kind of have this hierarchy, like when you are on social media, of course, you want people to buy things, right? That's the most important thing. Get people to buy things. Then you want people to share your posts and share your business. And then you want people to comment, because comments, especially if they are of a certain length and they are of quality, then comments really can help boost your business and get the word out that you're there. Comments will keep your post rising to the top in groups. If you're posting into groups, comments will help Facebook know that people are engaged in your page and that they are interested in your page. So we do appreciate comments. We don't always see them, like I said. It can be overwhelming to get all these notifications and to not even see the notifications sometimes, right? Because we don't get notifications in every single comment, but we do appreciate them, and they are a great way for you as or for your supporters to help your business and to support your business. So, like I said, purchasing, that's what we're in business to do, is to sell things, share those posts, get that word out there. That is telling people that you really appreciate that business, that you work with that business, that you support that business if you're sharing it. Then commenting is another level where it tells people that you're willing to comment and discuss that business. It also tells Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on that people are engaged with this business. This isn't a business that is just putting things out into the world. It's a business that is also getting feedback from the world, right? Pam says, for sure, I get posts 2 days later. Yeah, I will get comment or notifications that somebody commented on a post, and I'll look at it and it's like they did that 3 days ago. Why am I seeing it now? So that does happen for sure. And as Andrew said, using comments with 4 or more words, highlighted phrases helps things be seen. Yes, and that's what I mean by comments with quality. If you're just giving thumbs up, or you're just saying okay, or you're saying that's nice, Facebook doesn't weigh those comments very heavily. But when you're posting real, true feedback and, really discussing things and talking about the product in good ways, that really helps Facebook realize that this is an engaging platform. This is an engaging business. And that's not just Facebook. That's also Instagram and other places too. That the more you write of quality in a comment, the better it is for that business, that it shows the platform that you are a business worth engaging with. You are a business that is doing honest business, right? that it's not just kind of a fly-by-night thing. You are building that community. All right. So if anyone has any questions, I will open it up here to more questions. Otherwise, we're going to call that a social media bootcamp session. So hopefully you liked that. Hopefully it had some good information for you. And I know it was a lot. And if you missed anything, please do hit the replay on this. It will be available in our live tab on Allegory Gallery's Facebook page, and you can also find it here. We shared it into the Great Beat Extravaganza group. Mary says, any advice for someone whose business name is already taken on Facebook? I kind of answered that in the beginning. The best that I can is that if your business is already taken, you either find another business name. That's why I always recommend checking social media before you file for your business name. Definitely either come up with a different name, or the other thing you can do is you can create, you may not be able to use your entire name. I think I used the example, instead of Allegory Gallery, if we were @ALL Gallery, all gallery, and you just use that everywhere. Make sure it's available everywhere. If you've already filed for your business name and you've already been publicizing, and then you're just now running into this issue, that's probably the best you can do, is really find a social media name that looks like your name, that is close to it, whether it's shortened or hyphenated or, done in some way. Use that across all of your social media. And that's just going to, put a little bit more pressure on you to make sure that your people know that you are this social media name over the actual full name of your business, right? So I go back to @ALL Gallery. If we were all gallery instead of Allegory Gallery, it would be on us to make sure that everyone knew, go to @allgallery.com instead of @allegorygallery.com or @allegorygallery, right? So it puts a little bit more pressure on you. The dream would be if you could, if that person had your username and they weren't using it, you can always try to approach them to see if you can purchase it from them or get it from them. Sometimes people will do that. Sometimes people didn't realize that it was going to be a business, or they don't really use it anymore. They don't need it. Sometimes they'll ask for a fee. Sometimes it'll be outrageous. There are people who, just like people who go out and purchase web addresses in the hopes that they can sell them, there are people that do that with social media too. So, but the best thing that you can really do is change your business name and come up with a different name in the beginning. If it's too late for that, then get a social media handle that looks close, or that is hyphenated or shortened in some way. Use that for your entire social media presence, no matter what platform you're on, so that people who follow you as a business start to learn that that is your social media handle. Those are really the only options available, other than trying to purchase it from the person who may already own it if they're willing to sell it. Like I said, that can get very expensive because people can, put their price on it. Now, there's options as far as past that, depending on the legalities of things and states you're in and states doing business as, whether or not you could claim that because that is your official business name. That's something that I can't answer. You would have to talk to a lawyer and probably get more people than that involved as far as trying to get that, especially if it's an unused account. If it's somebody that's using the account as their business, and there's not much you're probably going to do. But if it's an unused account and somebody just sitting on it, you might be able to discuss that with your lawyer or somebody and see if there's any way that you could go about purchasing that or getting that from them. Let's see here. Anybody else? There you go. Andrew said, Tammy Browning Smith is a really good lawyer. She can help navigate potential copyright infringements if you have issues like that too. Yes, Sarah, as Sarah said, you can also add your location. So if there was already @Allegory Gallery, we could be @Allegory Gallery Ligonier. Just be careful. I think Twitter is one that has one of the shortest shortest username possibilities. I think they allow 14 letters, if I'm not mistaken. So you do have to watch with that. Sometimes your name grows too large. But there are ways around that, whether it's adding your town, whether it's adding your state to the end of that. That's a great tidbit, or a great tip from Sarah too. Jess says she had to change her name because my original name was taken. Yeah, we went through a lot of names at Allegory Gallery before we came up with Allegory Gallery, and it wasn't taken, right? Let's see here. Good, glad everyone's finding it helpful. Replay from the beginning. Yeah, so looks like everyone is done asking some questions. So I hope you did find this enjoyable and beneficial. So, you know, if you have questions, again, Allegory Gallery, we are here for you. You can feel free to ask us. You know, we're here if you need us. That's generally, we do consultations on the side. It is something we do if you want something more in depth that we can possibly help you with. But we have to take that as we can. Those are kind of scheduled out, and we can't always do them with our time available, but we do try to help as many people as we can. So I do thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, helpful. I see some of you did, so thank you all so much. And again, please follow us. I'm going to ask you, please follow us at Allegory Gallery here on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you are on YouTube, youtube.com/Allegory Gallery, please hit that subscribe button. We are trying to up our subscription numbers there in hopes that we can do more for you all. Like I said, right? There's a reason we want you to subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button so we can do more, and it gives us incentive to use that platform more if we know people are over there. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, I hope you found this useful, and if you need anything, please find us there. Please make sure to like our page, Allegory Gallery. It would be very helpful to us. And be sure to tune into our lives every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, where we show you new things from the store, new things coming in, some things that are in the store that we find enjoyable and think you might too, and we just chat and really, you know, have conversations with each other, so that, you know, during these times it's lonely for some people. So we are here, we do the chatting, we hang out, we have some fun. You never know where our topics are going to go, and it's always a blast. So thank you all so much for joining in. Thank you for watching this presentation, and I hope it was useful for you. Have a wonderful evening and a beautiful weekend, everyone. Bye now.